All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Rogue Hangout. My name is Alesha Drew, and myself and these awesome entrepreneurs that you see on the screen here, we're going to be sharing with you today how to build effective teams. And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to leave, please leave them below the video if you're watching the replay even, or if you're watching us live. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to click that like button. So with that being said, we're going to be teaching you, well, not teaching you, talking to you today about how to build teams and our own experiences with building our own teams and any of the struggles and challenges we've also been through as well in building teams, because it's a very important part of our community, our business here. And I'm going to throw an income disclaimer out there as well, just in case we do talk anything about numbers or money. We are not guaranteeing any kind of income whatsoever. Our results are not typical, as we are not typical or average, and we would also expect that if you're watching this that you are not typical or average. So if you'd like to check out our live income disclosure, you can go to empowernetwork.com/income.php and check that out. It's actually live, which is really, really cool. So with that being said, we're going to get going here and talk about how to build effective teams. We want to thank you for coming out today and sharing your time with us today, and we hope that you get some value from some of the experiences that you're going to hear today. So I'm going to throw it over to John Paul to get us started today, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so you can take it away.
All right. Yeah, well, again, it's great to come out. It's an awesome day here today. But, one of the things that we went through when we first started building our team was, yeah, we could have all the leads coming in all day long. And once we did that, we thought, well, we got the traffic down. We have our traffic sources down. Everything's going great. Everything's good. Well, what happened was we noticed that we had to keep working, it multiplied how hard we had to work to get those same leads, because we had a team that 95% of the people would come in and they wouldn't do anything with the product that they had, and that this is a product they spent their hard-earned money on, and then they did nothing with, and it was hard for me to kind of grasp that's what people are going to do. They're just going to be human on that, and they're just not going to do anything with the product. Much like how many people have a self-help book on the shelf and the things just piling up and piling up. But people will continue to buy more and more self-help books or motivational books, and with them they just they'll read a couple chapters, have a small aha moment, and so what we realized, and they would stick around for about 90 days, and then they would just fall off the face of the earth. They'd come in and they wouldn't really do much with any of the product, and also we'd have to turn around and do a lot of hand holding, a lot of coddling, a lot of hand holding, because we were coming from a fear-based mindset. I almost was afraid to lose that sale. Once I had that customer, I was afraid to lose it, and I kept taking it personal at the beginning. And through some of the products that we had, I had learned that number one, it's not me, it's them. It actually had nothing to do with me. Well, actually, it did have something to do with that I had on product and behind me, and how I was actually presenting any of the information, and also how I was or was not referring people to the systems, actually to the product, to the tools that we had available. Because if I was just the answer man, the go-to guy all the time, I kept having to give the same answer more and more and more to more and more people. And that was the big thing that we had, that I went through at the beginning, was, we had built a team up to, at the time, for me, I had thought I had 5 people. I was doing good. I had, 5, 6, like around $600 rolling in a month with that. And I thought, oh, this is good. This is starting to supplement a little bit. It's like, we're up to $600. This is all right. This is not bad. I'm making my money back. This is great. At least that's positive. And I realized that once I turned off my lead generation, generating leads effectively, all of a sudden my business just imploded on itself. And that is not a good feeling, because all of a sudden you went from 5 $600 a month down to $50 a month, and that's not through it and going through it, and we kept producing and kept producing. And what we realized was through the production of everything, it was actually producing sales. It didn't matter how many people actually kept dropping off later on, because actually it did matter, but as they started dropping off or anything, we were still able to live our life. I didn't get caught up in it anymore. I said, you know what, people are going to be people, and they're going to continue to do what they do, which is be human. They're okay. I forgive them for being themselves. It's all right. Most people aren't going to turn around and have the same work ethic and dedication and the desire that I had and that Alesha had at the beginning of it. And to know, I know that many of you guys all have the master's courses, which is a product that we've all gone through, where one of the first things that we're taught is that it actually be okay with accepting people's money. And at first I thought, well, what is it? Like, what the heck am I doing wrong? Why is it just me, or is like why is it me? Is it my product? What exactly is it? Like, why aren't people just getting it? Because I was excited all day long, and when you're excited like that, it still didn't matter because I wasn't able to convey my belief about it. There's an old saying that people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And that being said, they need to know how much you care about them and their success. And once I actually started, I stopped chasing a dollar. That was number one. Number two, I actually just became more personal with people. I actually started, learning who the members of my team were and actually caring about them and about their success and, what their reasons for doing things were. And once we started doing that, that was our big catalyst towards taking us to a different level. Now, I think, Alesha, you can probably talk more about this as far as that, though, because that can only take you so far in the beginning stages of your business because, one of the problems that you might, or challenges you might have later on as your organization grows is that it's going to grow so large that you can't have control over that you also can't have, a nice problem to have would be not knowing how many, I think as Dave Wood said one time, I don't know the names of all my six-figure earners. Even with all the memory tricks I have available to me, I can't remember all of my six-figure earners. Now that would be a good problem to have in your organization. I think anybody here would turn around and be like, you know what, that would be an amazing problem to have. And, as they say, mo money, mo problems, well, that's a good problem to have. So I think that anybody here can feel free to touch base on any of those issues or topics that I kind of brushed about or onto at the beginning as well. Feel free to unmute yourselves, pop in, pop out. It's something where I remember the beginning stages, like as I was going through the grind, was how do I get just really good quality leads? How do I do that? And once we did that, okay, that was a huge step towards it. And then once we got past the lead generation, then all of a sudden it was, well, now what the hell do you do with the people once you got them? Once you got your customers, now what do you do with them? And we always say that we don't want to be living a life where we're just attached to the phone all day long, and just grinding it out as far as half-hour, hour-long calls sucking up all of your time. Looking over to my girlfriend Alesha and turn around and going, is this what my life is going to be like? Like, this is not why I got into business for this, And at the beginning, we also realized, too, that we were living our life on urgencies. We were making other people the urgent priority instead of actually what we needed for us. And doing this business as a couple, that was one of the things where, I mean, heck, I'll be honest, I didn't realize how needy I was. I realized I was really needy in a relationship. I was like, oh, man. I didn't realize how much this kind of sucks whenever no one's around. Like when someone's just busy all day long, and they're just, they're going through that process of learning everything. At the beginning of our business, as we got online, I had kind of taken the bull by the horns and was doing a lot of it until Alesha kind of understood what we were like. She didn't really know what I was doing. I would just went and and bought into a business, and she believed in me, and then finally she was like, well, what exactly are you doing? What is all this stuff? And I was trying to have a conversation with someone that kind of didn't talk the lingo, so it was really, there was this block, we just did not match at all. And finally I said, look, log in here and just check some of this stuff out, and then we can actually talk about it. And she did, and she loved it. So I was really fortunate there at the beginning. Some people don't have a partner that's doing the business with them, so sometimes it can be an uphill battle constantly throughout it. So I know that having somebody on board really helped us out, and I had to turn back around and look at everything and say, well, what kind of life do I want to have if I'm 5 years from now? Is this really what I want to be doing? If this is what I'm doing right now to make money, and whether that was grinding on the telephone all day long, whether it was dealing with people that just didn't get it, and I was out of touch with my customer base, anything. We made a decision real fast that if there's anything that we're doing that we absolutely despise doing, we're gonna systematize that out of our business so that somebody else can do that. We'll pay somebody else to do that. That's something that somebody else can handle, because we're gonna focus what we're really good at doing. And I know that Alesha, Alesha's really good at building high converting capture pages. That's something that she actually gets a lot of joy out of doing. Myself, I like some of the technical stuff with it as well. So we just played to our strengths as a team, as far as within our business. And in doing that, what we realized too was that we were setting up our business as a full system that would refer people back to the tools that we had in place, tools that we already paid for, and also one thing we you guys are probably going to all have kind of maybe gone through this. I don't know, John or Homer, you guys might have been through this as well too, but how many of you guys actually did go and try to start a team site for your team at the beginning? Did anybody do that? Just raise your hand real quick if you did that or didn't. I did. And it was one of the yeah, we did. We thought, oh, we're going to go have this, and we laid everything out, and we thought it was going to be fantastic. And then we realized how much we did not know. And then we realized what we would actually do to our team if we did that. And, we still have, Alesha, you probably still have the legal pads with all of everything all drawn out, perfect to a T, everything. We still have it. It's something where we're not going to give up on it, because it's a great foundation for once we hit a certain level. But we did that, and we thought, and it's funny because some of the leaders will talk about, not doing that, and if you do try to do that, what happens? And we lived that misery to a T. We were the epitome of what not to do in that scenario. That was us, So until we're getting edified by our peers and our peer group about every, third party on how, obviously just, what kind of our results speak for themselves. We don't need to be going out and having a team site that says, here, this is what we're going to teach you to do, how to make a team site to actually tell people how not to do anything. And so, but we were the ones that did that. So we lived that nightmare for about 2 months before we finally was like, you know what, that's not going to happen right now. It's just not reasonable to even do. And, I'm going to be really glad once we actually hit that point where we can. But in going through that was something that I'm okay with too, because a lot of people, I don't know about you guys, but there's days where you'll look in your business and you'll sit down to do something and you kind of get a little bit overwhelmed with anything, and you'll just kind of zoom back out. And what I did was I had a big zoomed out perspective on things, and I realized that once I realized that I'm okay with where I'm at in my business and with whatever process I'm going through at that time, that helped me a lot too, because sometimes you can get a lot of the anxiety, you can get, you start having self-doubt in some of it, and as an entrepreneur, no one tells you to wake up in the morning and do this, no one tells you that, well, Alesha will wake me up and tell me I got to do it, so, but no one will really wake up and tell you that you have to do this every single day and what the right thing to do is. You're making your own course of action for your future, and that's really what some people might not have. Some people might not have that inner drive to do this, and that's why I was okay with realizing that some of those people on my team originally that dropped off didn't have that drive and that dedication to it. You know, it's not everybody's going to have the same work ethic I have. You know, not everybody's going to have the same vision I have, or the same income goals, or what that income is going to do for me or for them. You know, it's going to be different for everybody. But how hard we chase it and how fast we chase it, those types of things, what we sacrifice for, those are all going to be different for each individual, and I had to be okay with it. So, I mean, I've pretty much got off course a lot here. So, you know, I think that Alesha or John, either one of you guys could probably talk about, you know, what's called attrition rate. If you know, you guys probably know too, is, you know, how as you build your team bigger, eventually there's a breaking point within your teams, and how you can produce all day long, but eventually it's going to take so much reproduction to get that same level sustaining itself. And you know, I'm just curious to see what you guys have to, or what you guys have experienced with that as you guys have been building your teams and your downlines or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll throw this over to the other John and see what his thoughts are on this topic. Definitely.
Yeah, I think, there's a ton of challenges with building a team, and I sort of go back to my experience just, you know, building a team in a bricks and mortar business. You still, ultimately, it kind of comes down to leadership. You still have to set a direction and a mindset and a pathway for your teams, and you also have to realize, ultimately, it doesn't really matter what kind of business you're in. You can be in a online business, you can be in a bricks and mortar business, you can be in all sorts of different kinds of businesses, but the reality is that there's only a certain number of people, a certain percentage of people who are actually going to run. You know, there's you know, and it actually kind of comes down to the old I forget what it, you know, Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your people are going to produce 80% of your results, and that's true. I found that to be true no matter what. No matter what I did as a manager in a bricks and mortar business, in this business, no matter what you do, there's always only going to be a certain number of people who are going to kind of run, who are going to run with you, who are going to, you know, do the work, do the real work, do everything that's really required to have success. And it's just so you know, it kind of comes down to just a kind of human nature. That's just the way it is. And so, and the other thing you have to kind of realize is that a lot of people just aren't like you. So, you know, I mean, that's kind of what John Paul was talking about, is that, you know, each one of us have kind of a burning desire or not. You know, is there fire in your belly? That's kind of what you kind of go back to, is that, do you really have the desire to make this happen for yourself? And so you can't be a leader unless you've got that fire, and you just have to understand that. And so if you want to manage your own team, if you want to build a successful team underneath of you, you have to be able to show them that the course that they need to take in order to have the kind of success that they want to have. And if you can't really define for them clearly what it's going to take to have that kind of success, then you're going to have struggles not only within your team, but ultimately you're going to have your own struggles. And so that's something that you really have to keep in mind. Again, all these principles are sort of universal, no matter what kind of business that you're in. So you know, you have to define the right kind of expectations. What is it that we're trying to achieve as a team? What is it I'm trying to achieve as a person? But what is it that we're trying to achieve as a team? One of the things that we've been going through over the last 2 or 3 weeks in our own personal team is that some people have gotten distracted looking at other business opportunities, and it just sort of drives me crazy. It's like, man, you know, you've spent a bunch of money, a bunch of time, a bunch of resources, whatever it is, to get into this particular business, and now you're going to go look at something else that somebody else says is a much better deal, or you're going to be able to earn money faster. It's crazy. And so one of the challenges that you have in building a team and being a leader is to make sure people stay focused on the path that you all want to try and go down. And in our own team, we made a conscious decision over this last weekend that we were just going to tell people, hey, if your primary focus is going to be over here rather than where we're trying to go, then we wish you well. We want everybody to have success as leaders, as entrepreneurs, whatever it is. But we can't have you part of our team when we're trying to focus on one specific direction over here. And so I think that's, to me, from my own personal position and standpoint, that's the right course to take. It's kind of a harder course, but we want everybody to be focused on one direction, and I think that's the only way that people can have success. So so those are, again, just kind of expectation levels, setting the right kind of course, and then ultimately making sure that you're doing the types of things in your business that you want other people to duplicate and replicate. Because if they're seeing that you're having success doing the right kinds of things, building your business, then they're going to do the same types of things. Not everybody's the same. People are going to love to do videos. Some people are going to love to do to write blog posts. Everybody's sort of got their strengths and weaknesses, or the things that they that really kind of trip their trigger, I guess. But and that's okay. You want them to have that kind of individualism, but man, ultimately you need to have your team focused on one course of direction. So, and then it's just a matter of trying to keep people not only moving in the right direction, but just keep momentum. Because I think what happens in a lot of cases is that, again, doesn't really matter what kind of business you're in, there's always ebbs and flows. There's times of the year when business kind of drops off, or there's times of the year when people lose focus. Take, for example, the holiday season. Everybody inevitably, I could almost tell you, no matter what business that you're in, the time period between Thanksgiving and New Year's it's hard to do business. And so you just have to understand that people do get distracted with all sorts of different things, and that's just the way it is. And so you have to recognize that there's going to be those times of the year that's going to happen. You need to be able to adapt to that kind of situation, but you have to be prepared for the right kind of hangouts, tools, webinars, whatever it is, so that you can still keep people focused. Maybe not 100%, but they're still going to be focused during those times of the year when there's going to be distractions. So anyway, a lot of it just comes down to planning, and a lot of it comes down to your own personal experiences, because I guarantee you, whatever you experience in your life and whatever happens during those times of the year, everybody else goes through them as well. So just sit down and make note of those, and recognize that that's going to happen with everybody. So it's a challenge, but ultimately, people are looking for help. They're looking for direction, and they really are starving for leadership or people to kind of help them get started, get moving down the right kind of path, to understand the types of things, the top 5 or 10 or 15 things that they really need to do to have success in the business and to get going. So as long as you're defining all of those things, I think you'll have a lot of success in building a team.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, John, on that, because like how you said about even if with like a brick and mortar store, like a regular retail business, one of the things that we do is we'll go back, or I've ran a brick and mortar store for almost the last 5 years, and in building teams there, as well, what we'll do is we'll always have a common vision, a common goal of where we're striving toward as a store, as a team. We'll have different contests within the stores as well too, and we create a highly competitive environment within that, and we'll set goals constantly, and we'll smash them, and then that's what really makes us grow as well. But we have that common vision. Is my whole team in the retail environment, they all know what I'm focusing on. I guess you could say, I'm managing the numbers. They know that I'm looking at those numbers. The team knows what's important to me. They're going to make it important to them. And that's the same thing within our teams as well, as what you focus on as being important. However you do it, you're going to have your own way of molding that to what suits you, however you bring it, whether it's through competitions or contests, anything like that. That's what we'll do. And it's weird because retail teams and like online marketing teams, as far as network marketing, things are a little bit different as far as what I noticed. And this was a really powerful thing that I had to go through. Now, normally in a retail environment or like a sales-driven environment, traditionally, like a brick-and-mortar store, you'll have your A-plus players that are just rocking out 100% sales, or they're crushing it. You got your rock stars. Well, those are the guys that a lot of times you just know they got it. They got it. You just expect that they're always going to have it. They do good work. They continue doing it. Well, then you got like your B's and your C's, and the people that are down below that aren't producing a lot. So you focus a lot of your time down there with the people that aren't producing a lot in order to possibly get them to produce more. Well, online teams, it's different. It's the inverse of that. It's backwards. And I think this spot here was huge whenever I had the connection of switching gears every time within it, because some people work online and offline. They're doing the 9-to-5. They're still in the corporate world. They're in the rat race. We're humans. They're living the social life of what they were taught to do. So this is new to them, and this is where one of the challenges comes for them to build the teams. Is they're used to giving their time to people that aren't producing a lot of numbers, but online or in this type of atmosphere, we have to give time to the people that are producing, not to the people that say that they need one-on-one coaching, things like that. Because in doing that, you can just challenge them. If they need that one-on-one coaching, we can turn back around and say, well, once you bring in 5 customers within the month, I'll go ahead and I'll allocate 30 like a 30-minute time block for you. So you're coaching on the spot with them, but you're also managing your time effectively. But in retail, it's always been the opposite way, which I thought was, I didn't even realize I was doing it for about a year until I finally had that connection of saying, it's okay, I don't have to hold everybody's hand if they're not producing. But in retail or like regular, it's the opposite. You're totally coaching the other people that are down below, and you're bringing them up to a higher level so that everybody can come up as a group. So, but that's where that internal motivation comes from. Because now that's just the standard job. People are clocking in. They're already an asset to the company. They can either be an asset or a liability. Well, online, you work with your assets. You work with your people that are the assets that are already producing as well for you and actually with you. So you're streamlining, you're maximizing your time there. And I don't remember what I was on the other day, and I like to get a lot of leadership principles from different people that have been highly successful in their lives. And it was John Paul DeJoria, and so he was one of the founders of Paul Mitchell, or the John Paul Mitchell Systems for Hair Care. A lot of people don't know that he actually owns and started up the Patron Spirits, which is the tequila company as well. And so he's got tons of different things that he's got going on. Well, one of the things that he talked about was about how he doesn't micromanage a lot of stuff. What he says was that he would go insane if he obsessed about every little detail of all of his companies. And his management philosophy, or the way that he thinks, is to pay attention to the vital few people and ignore the trivial many. So there's going to be many people that are going to be very trivial that just don't get it. and he will basically just ignore the people that just don't get it, you know, and he will work with the vital few people that can actually manage his companies and help him build it to where his vision is and where he's going. All the other little details and things that he has, like with other people, those are just trivial things that just work their way out, because it's not worth his time to get involved with that kind of stuff, because it would just implode him with what his actual duties are, you know. So I thought that was very interesting, how, you know, even someone like that, in order for him to grow to, you know, a multi-billionaire, so that he can actually have a private jet, you know, to travel wherever he needs to go to continue to make his businesses operate. I thought that was very interesting, that, you know, it's not just direct sales or network marketing or online. It's also retail. It's regular businesses that have these same principles behind them. You know, this is not stuff that is not just some information we're pulling out of the air. These are sound foundational principles that have been in place, you know, for years. You know, probably since the beginning of capitalism in success. And speaking of success, you know, what he had talked about was about how a lot of people will talk about how successful you are, with it being material things and the amount of money you've made and things like that. But what he said kind of struck me, really, it rang my bell pretty good, because he said, look, success is not the accumulation of any of those material things. What success actually is, it's the measure of how good you do whatever it is that you do. You know, for instance, he was a janitor when he first started out, when he was a boy, and you know, he was a janitor, and what he would do is he was so good, and he cared about how good of a job he did, that he would sweep the floors, you know, religiously. You know, when nobody else was looking, you know, or even would possibly be looking for that, he would clean everything, make sure everything was really good. And at the time, you know, he's 11 years old, 12 years old, and all of a sudden he got called up to one of the guy called. I watch on the nightstand on the table here, and when I did, I realized there was no dust. So then it amazed me. So I picked up the tissue box, and there was no dust there. He said, then I looked under the table and pulled it up, and I moved the cot away from the wall. And he said that he said, I'm so impressed with what you do, I'm going to give you a raise. And he gave him a 25-cent raise. So he went from $1.25 an hour to $1.50 an hour. And he was one of the highest paid kids by the time he went to high school. And I thought that was very, very interesting, that it's always doing what you do extremely well, so that whenever nobody else is looking, though, you're still doing that when nobody else is looking. So it's how good you do whatever it is that you do. And I took a lot from that. I took a lot away from that whenever, you know, after I listened. I forget what call I was on. I think it was some podcast I was listening to. But that was what struck me. You know, whether it is that you're doing retail sales or business or direct selling or network marketing or anything, it's how good you do what it is that you do. That made me feel really good. You know, that's your only goal. Then your goal can be, or the measure of how good you're doing it is just really, when you're talking to a customer, or you're closing a sale or anything, you know, keep track of what you're doing and how well are you either getting better or are you getting worse at doing that. So that's pretty much all I got on that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good, and I mean, it comes down to excellence. You know, strive for excellence, no matter what. Whatever you're doing, strive for excellence, and you know, that's something that I learned at a young age, and I think that, you know, we've lost some of that a little bit in our society in general. But the other thing too, I just wanted to mention this really quick, is that you know, work with other people. So when you hear a lot in general, you know, sort of bricks and mortar businesses, that CEOs get together quite frequently. I don't maybe people don't even realize this, but you know, a Bill Gates would get together with you know, John Chambers at Cisco, and people like that. They would get together and share ideas and thoughts and opinions and best practices, all of those kinds of things. So I think part of building a really good organization and a really strong team is to make sure that you're also reaching out and connecting with other people in the industry, people that have had great success. What works for them, what doesn't work for them. Just make sure that you're keeping up with current trends and what works for other people in this business, because I think it's super, super important. But I'll toss it back to you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is really awesome stuff, guys. I hope everyone out there is getting some value from this. I just wanted to touch a little bit on the definition of producing and duplication within your team. There can be a little bit confusion about what producing and duplication actually means and how it can actually affect your team. So when you're producing, that's when you're actually producing yourself, you're selling. And duplication is not the same thing. Duplication is when your team is actually producing. So the act of you selling is actually reinforcing itself when you're not there. And that's ultimately what you want. Otherwise, you won't be able to build a strong, successful team. You want to be able to have your own time to produce yourself, and then you want your team to be able to duplicate, because if they're not producing, ultimately they won't stick around for very long. Okay, so you want your team to actually produce, which causes duplication for you because you're reinforcing the act of selling, which causes your downline, your team members, to sell as well, and it causes a duplication effect down the line. So I want everybody out there to understand the true meaning behind producing and duplicating. And duplicating is something that has to happen within your business in order for you to create the team, create the team that you actually want to create. And yeah, I just want to touch a little bit on what John Paul said about when we had a few team members in back in the beginning that quit. This was something, I still struggle a little bit with this to this very day. I'm going to be honest about this, because I'm generally a person who believes in everybody. It doesn't matter where they've come from, how much experience they have. I truly believe that we need to believe that everybody can succeed in this business because they can. And, we'll get people coming in and they'll have these massive goals. We'll get them clear with their intentions and their vision and things like that. And, at the beginning with those people, I got really excited and thought this is going to be great. These people have great dreams and goals and visions, and they've told me they're going to get this product and that product, and they're going to go through it and all of these things. And then, 9 times out of 10, those people didn't do what they said they were going to do. Okay, and then later on down the track, they end up just, going MIA. They just disappear. And I really had trouble with that. I mean, and I know a lot of people do. I don't know how many people like to admit it, but, I got really frustrated, and I actually blamed myself in the beginning. And then I thought about it, and I thought, well, no, these people were actually in at quite a high-level product as well. It wasn't just people that had gone in and didn't have any of the products that they needed. They had all the training required for what they wanted to do, and we were giving our time as well with our training, and they had all the resources in front of them. They had all the tools, they had all the motivation, they had everything in front of them. And the bottom line is, you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. You're not going to go and barge into somebody's house and run in there and tell them that they need to get on the computer and start implementing what they're learning. And then that was something that I really, had to really come to grips with, that, hey, this is not my fault. If somebody really doesn't want to do something, if somebody buys a product and they choose not to go through it, that's not my fault. And if they don't choose to take action on what they've learned, that's not my fault either. Ultimately, it's up to you to actually do the producing. So, that's something that you really need to wrap your head around, that there are always going to be people quitting. And I also want to say this, there's also going to be leaders within your organization that quit. You know, you might have somebody that's making 10 grand a month, or even 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. Don't think that they're always going to be there. Okay, because if you do that and your income depends on that person, what's going to happen when they quit? You know, you're going to get mad. You're going to be like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. No, I don't want you to think that they are going to quit, but I want you to realize that some people just don't stick around. They will move on to other things no matter how much money they're making, whether they're making none or they're making 100 grand a month. So in order to, you know, what we do about that is we keep producing, is what we do. We bring in more people than the amount of people that can quit. We keep bringing in the numbers. As our mentor David Wood would say, you know, we're doing one of two things. You know, we're bringing in the numbers to find the man, or we're teaching the man to bring in the numbers. So you have to keep producing, as we would say, it's 2 a day, you know, within the business, so that when people quit, it doesn't affect us. That's okay, because we're still bringing people in. And the leaders will pop up in your organization down the line. Because you're bringing in so many people. So I want you to really understand that, especially those that are just getting started. I want you to listen to everything that we've said today so that you can avoid some of these things that will pop up as you go along. You know, really understand the difference between producing and duplicating, and that people may not always stick around. I think the DSA statistics say that for attrition to be, you know, not so great, people need to be earning at least $1,000 a week to stick around within an organization. Anything below that, then people will usually drop off at some point. Now, for those of you that don't really understand what attrition is, it's pretty much what we've been talking about here. It's the level at which people come into your business and they start dropping out. And it's always going to happen. It doesn't matter how successful you are or how huge you've built your team. There's always going to be people that drop off, you know, and that's what we call attrition, and that's what we're talking about here today, is how we overcome, you know, these issues of people quitting and moving on to other things. Which also leads me to a few things we've been talking about shiny ball syndrome, moving from one thing to the other. And that's where culture comes in when you're building a team. Now, we have events every 90 days within our community, and we do that so that people stick around. People get remotivated. People make new commitments to their business. People make new connections in person. People stay inspired. People build relationships, you know, because scientifically it's proven that things go in 90-day cycles. And then we do other things within our team as well, like what you're seeing today, weekly hangouts, weekly team trainings. To keep people around, you have to build a culture. Okay, the system teaches how to do what it is that you're doing within your organization, but culture actually keeps people around. It's the social mechanisms that keep people within an organization. And it's those that jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. They may have built a massive team within that thing, and then those people don't stick around. So what do? They jump to another thing. They build a team, and the same thing happens again because they're not building a culture around what they're doing. You know, I like to liken this to religion, because it's the biggest voluntary group of people on the planet. You know, religion and going to church and religious ceremonies, it's voluntary. Those people don't have to be there, and they're not getting paid to be there. And why do they stick around? Why do they keep coming back every week? Because that organization has built a culture. They've built relationships where people want to keep coming back every single week because it makes them feel good about what they're doing and what they believe in. And so I really want you to understand that you're not only producing and building a team to keep those people around and stop the level of nutrition of people quitting. You need to have a culture set in place. You know, social mechanisms, getting people to the next event. We're always promoting the next event. You know, we'll be in Orlando in like 3.5 weeks for our event that's coming up on October 23rd through 26th. So if you get in today, you have the chance to get to our next event. And when we're at the event, we're promoting the next event. We are always doing that because we need to keep people around and keep people motivated and inspired. So, I really hope that everybody out there has kind of understood and can avoid some of the things that we've all personally gone through. So I want to throw it over to Homer and see what you've got to add to this and the things that you've experienced with this, with team building as well. Oh.
Right.
Take it away.
All right, guys. Great stuff. Yeah, I totally agree. It's all about having leadership for your team. Your team's got to have a vision of where it's going. If without a vision, the people perish. People are going to leave your team if you don't have a direction and a vision of where you want to take your team. What's the ultimate goal? I'm going to put my deal up here. Like it says, I'm Homer Tipton. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm definitely not the greatest speaker in the world. So, and I actually get nervous a little bit when I do these hangouts. So I don't know if you can see on my screen there. I am Homer Tipton. I'm not the greatest speaker in the world, but luckily for me and for you, whoever's watching this hangout, if you're watching it live or watching the replay, you don't have to be the greatest speaker in the world to come on these hangouts with us and mastermind and brainstorm and to get your message out for other people, because that's really what it's all about. These aren't for, they are for ourselves, and I grow a lot every time I do one of these hangouts, but they're for the people that we're trying to help, so just for those of you that are scared to come on these hangouts and speak your message, take it from me. It's not, you don't have to be the greatest speaker in the world. So I want to thank everybody for coming out here. If you are watching this or you're watching the replay, it kind of tells me a lot about you. It tells me that you want more out of life than what's currently going on. So, I commend you for taking action, being here on this call with us. As far as building teams, I built me a real estate team, and without building that team, I could have never moved to Hawaii for all of last year. And, it's a little bit different. Obviously, building a network marketing business, building a team of network marketers, affiliate marketers, internet marketers, life coaches, speakers, whatever your avatar is, it's a little bit different than building a brick and mortar business, because, with my real estate business, it's just a few key players. But like Alesha said, like Dave Wood said, in network marketing, we're actually looking for large amounts of numbers. So we want to build a huge team, and then we want to find, we're looking for numbers to find the man, to follow the woman, for those girls, that are watching. When the leaders step up in your organization, then you train them to produce the numbers. So if you really want to build a big team, the best way to do that is take massive action, produce results, and then show your team and the leaders that step up how to produce those similar results. A couple of tweaks from people that are actually taking action can produce significant results, as opposed to trying to teach somebody that's not taking any action. There's what I like to call in this business is time hogs. And those are people that are gonna, they're gonna question you about every little thing and how do I get leads and how do I do that? Well, that's what the trainings teach. That's what the $25 product shows you how to do it. That's what the inner circle shows you how to do it. Like, you shouldn't be asking me how to generate leads when, if you really wanted to know, you would go in and buy all the products and learn what the products teach. Why should I have to teach you something that's already there for you to learn? So, you know, don't you want to just try to stay away from time hogs, I guess is my main point there. And really, it's all about do your best and forget the rest. You know, all you can do is all you can do. So take as much action as you can, produce results yourself, and then when the leaders, the people that actually want to make money, step up and they start producing, then those are the people that you work with. You don't work with every single person on your team. It's impossible. David Wood, he's built a team of 300,000 people. You think he knows all of them? No, it is impossible. He can't. But he knows the 14, 15 people that have made $1 million in 3 years. You know, he probably knows all the people that have made $500,000 in a short period of time. You know, again, I want to throw up a disclaimer because results aren't typical. You know, the people that make that kind of money aren't typical. Are you typical? So basically, you know, people are going to join your team, and some of those people that join are going and quit. They're going to rejoin. You know, because they're going to realize that they made a mistake when they left. So you can't worry about that. For me, it's really all about producing results because, you know, I get that all the time. Well, how much money have you made? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Let's just say a lot, more than you. And, you know, if you're really serious and you want to make money, then just join. You know, just click the link and join. That's really all there is to it. And, you know, stop questioning me about how much money I made. You know, there's people in the company that have made millions of dollars, and you can do the same thing, you know, if you apply yourself, if you take action. You know, action is the bridge between what you want and what you're going to get, between your inner world and your outer world. So, you know, take massive action if you want to, you know, build a team. Let's see, what else? I think that's it for now.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome stuff, Homer. It's all about taking action at the end of the day, and you know, one other thing that I was just thinking about is a little bit of what Homer touched on, and you don't want to be hand-holding your team, as he said. You know, and I think John Paul and I think even John, everybody's touched on this today. You only want to be giving your time mainly to the people that are producing. And, you know, I think we've all personally gone through this, and as our founder David Wood would say, you don't want to be hand-holding people and frolicking through a flower, you know, a paddock of fields with these people, you know, because you're not going to, for one, you're not going to produce anything. If you're sitting on the phone all day helping people within your team, you're never going to produce yourself. You know, if you've got people calling you saying, oh, how do I make my first blog post, and, you know, how do I move this image over here, and how do I resize this, and those people are going to keep coming back to you and expecting more from you, and you're going to sit on the phone all day and answer silly questions like that. So what you actually want to do, you know, and Homer mentioned this as well, you refer them to the actual product that gives them the answer to their question. Okay, and you know, we had a lady within our organization that would call me and ask me questions, and I'd answer them, and she'd say to me, oh, how do you know the answers to these questions? This is amazing. And I said, oh, you know those products that you bought? I said, the answer's in those products. And that's how I know the answer, because I actually went through the product that I bought. So I'm able to tell you the answer. Okay, so it's a very simple concept, but a lot of people, you know, they just don't get it. They won't go through the product. They won't sit there and take their notes, watch the video. They'd rather call their sponsor and say, how do I do this? Okay, and not only is that wasting your time and it's wasting that person's time, you're actually teaching that person that that's what they have to do with their team. So then they'll be on the phone all day with their team, and it just goes down the line. So in the end, nobody's producing anything because everybody's too busy answering each other's silly questions. And if people would invest in the products that they need to find the answer to, this wouldn't be happening. You know, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be sitting on the phone all day. You know, a lot of people like to sit on the phone all day. You know, a lot of traditional network marketers are taught to sit on the phone all day, to call, you know, make cold calls to people, cold leads, and have three-way calls. And to me, that's just horrifying. That's not something that I ever want to do, but that's just me. Okay, a lot of people out there like sitting on the phone, but you want to make sure that you're sitting on the phone for the right reasons. Okay, you don't want to be sitting on the phone answering your team's 5,000 questions, especially if they're not producing. Okay, you want to give more time to the people that actually are producing as well. So I think that's a major issue that a lot of people need to overcome, because we want to help everybody. You know, we want to get everybody where they need to go, but they need to go through the grind just as we have, and invest in the products, invest in the information that they need to get them where they need to go. You know, with that being said, we've just had a brand new product line launch called the Team Building Formula. Okay? And this product actually dives into a lot more stuff. I mean, we've gone over some major things today, but I can tell you the Team Building Formula products that we have inside our community, they go into a lot more detail. You know, I don't want to talk too much about it today because you need to invest into the product. You know, our founder, David Wood, goes through all the principles of team building. You know, it's a scientific art, and he dives into these strategies in major detail. And it's something that can be implemented in any business in the world. It can be implemented into. And it's a priceless product that we have. And that's just a little part of what we have within our community. You know, so does anybody have any final thoughts before we close out today?
Well, I want to add a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to add a little bit of the, you know, of the tools, a couple of the tools that, if you're an online marketer, if you're a network marketer, and you want to make money online, you really want to make money online. You not just say that you want to make money online, but really you just want to ask a bunch of questions. If you're serious about making online, no matter what you're promoting, you basically, you know, if you want to build a team, you're going to need basically three things. First, you need a capture page, okay? So you can capture your leads, because if you're just, you know, going in and spamming Facebook groups and getting people's, you know, to hopefully click your link and go buy your stuff, the chances of them doing that on the first visit are slim to none, and it's probably not going to happen. You know, there's a lot of people that spam Facebook groups that, you know, that crap don't work, but I guess for some people it might, but for me it never did, so I don't do it. But so you need a capture page, and even if you're spamming groups, it'd be a good idea to have a capture page, because you can spam it, you can send people to your capture page, and then they, you know, fill in their email, and then you have your second tool, which is an autoresponder. You need a way to stay in contact with those people. You know, if you want to build a team, you gotta keep sending emails. You know, the number one recruiter in Empower Network, that's what his philosophy is collecting emails. You know, he's an email guy. You collect their emails, and you send out an autoresponder, and you stay constantly in contact, give them value, and then, yeah, you give them a sales message. Because, you know, your product, our products, whatever business you're in, if you really believe that it's going to help your prospects and your people, then you should be trying to sell them and sponsor them into your company. You know, sponsoring and selling is the only way to make money in network marketing. If you're not sponsoring, you're not selling, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to build a team, obviously, if you're not sponsoring. And then the third tool that you absolutely need to have, and I've met a lot of network marketers that are trying to build their business, and a lot of them are building offline, but they don't have a blog. It's like, really? I'm in real estate. I own a bunch of rental properties and make a good living at real estate. I built up, a 5-digit monthly passive income off real estate. So, I really love real estate, and the internet is like virtual real estate. You don't have a blog, you're pretty much homeless when it comes to internet marketing. So you need to have a blog. And well, the good news is that Empower Network, if you don't have a blog, that's our core product, one of our basic product, $25 a month. Get a blog. No, you don't have to promote Empower Network. You can promote any opportunity that you want to, and that's another reason why we built the team, the team builder formula. We built that for network marketers, not just for people that are in Empower, not just for people that are promoting Empower Network products, the Inner Circle, the blog, the 15K formula, all the products. Anybody can promote anything with our blog. So, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to throw out some tools that people could use, to help build their business. And then obviously you make videos, YouTube videos, and post them on your blog. And I've made a video on how to rank your videos #1 in Google within just 2 or 3 days. If you Google link love, I'm the #1 spot for Google link love, and I've got a video on there that tells you exactly how to do it. And that'll help you build your team, help you get leads, help get people coming through your site, and then your autoresponder will help you stay in touch with them. So that's it, Alesha. So.
Yeah, that's definitely good stuff there. They're definitely tools that you definitely need when you're online. And as you mentioned, it kind of astounds me these days. Some traditional network marketers that do not have a home online. That they're always taught to build offline, which is to me another issue altogether. But it's fine doing things face to face, but we always want to, if you're looking to build your team, in large numbers, it's always great to be online, because instead of, having a home meeting where there's maybe 10 people in the room, you can reach thousands and thousands of people every single day, even while you're sleeping. And that's why it's so great to build online and offline if you like to do that as well. So there are definitely some tools that you will need. So with that, anybody else have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I just wanted to close it off with saying, yeah, we're talking about, money and teams and incomes and a lot of this. And what I would like to leave everybody with is that success unshared is failure. And so no matter why we're doing, we each have our why on why we're doing this. And as we go along and progress through this, as you go through this, and you hit your home runs and you have your great days and your great weeks, make sure that you share how you're doing that and what you're doing. Like how you've found that system or what it is that you're doing. Share that with your team, or share that at least with the people that are within your your tight knit, your inner circle of people that are producing. Share it with those people, because at the beginning of going through a lot of this, I realized, I'd have my days where, I was getting 30, 40 leads a day, and I was just crushing out with some great lead sources. And I realized that I didn't share that with anybody. I was like, oh, I've got my little gold mine, like I've got my little vein of gold right here, like, oh, I struck it, like finally I got it. Well, what that did for me was that actually stifled my income, because I didn't teach anybody else how to go out and actually do that as well. I didn't teach them, how to go out and find their gold mine as well. And so, like I said, success unshared is failure, because that's what it did to me. It actually made me struggle harder and fail in a way. So I learned from that. So that's pretty much all I have as well. And on the bottom of this page, there's going to be a link. Click that link to get started and join us as well. And it's just a link that says, yes, I'd like to get started. Make sure you click on that, or get back to the person that invited you to watch this hangout. Ask them for more information. They'll be glad to get it over to you as well. And we look forward to you on the inside. If you're sitting on the fence with anything, there's not really any reason to be sitting there, because the water's fine in here. We all learned how to swim at one point. We're still here. Our heads are above water. It's great. So, and when they say the grass is greener on the other side, it is. It actually truly is. The things that you learn, these are things that no one can ever take away from me years from now. I know now that if my main parent company that I'm affiliated with, it went away tomorrow, I know that I could turn back around and I could sell the hat that's on my head, I could sell the shirt that's on my back, whatever product it is, I could actually turn around and put a system in place to sell it. And that's truly what we teach here as well. It doesn't matter what it is. This is something that these principles, nobody can take away from you once you have them and you understand them. They're yours for life. You are a better person with these tools. These aren't things that just are going to go away tomorrow and stop working. These are things that are going to continue working, for years gone by. So with that being said, join the link below, get started, get back to the person that invited you to watch this hangout today, and we'll see you guys on the inside. And I thank you guys for coming out tonight as well, this afternoon as well too.